I'm just waiting for Stuart to say, "You're live." Oh, you're live. We're live. That was pretty quick. Boy, I couldn't have done that better.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Oh, hi. That wasn't awkward. Oh, it's like being caught in the bathroom with your pants down and sitting on the toilet, and your mother-in-law walks in. Well, everybody, welcome to the Phoenix Hour. I am Phelan Fairchild here with the Phoenix Development Team. As many of you know, the Phoenix Hour is the new show on Res TV that discusses current developments, issues, topics, concerns, and your questions with the Phoenix Development Team. Today, I am joined by, once again, the illustrious Jessica Line. Hello, Jessica.
Hello, everybody. Surprise, surprise. We're live. Hi.
Surprise! And Ed Merriman. Hello, Ed.
Hi, Phelan, and hello, everybody.
And Pixel Prophet Lane. Hello.
Hello.
Well, you jumped the gun there. You have to wait. Did you see that?
I know, but
It's like, hello, hello.
I was testing my mic and noticed that I was not able to speak, but it worked all of a sudden.
You sound lovely. It's Kismet, darling. Pixel Prophet Kismet. And Whirly Fizzle, it's our first time on the show with us today, and I'm delighted to have her. She's an amazing Phoenix support team member and an absolute delight. Hello, Whirly.
Phelan, hi everyone.
How could you not love somebody with a name like Whirly Fizzle? I'm sorry. Really. I think that has got to be one of the most epic names I've seen in a really long time.
Thank you.
So what we're going to do is we're going to just sort of take your questions today. Jessica has a couple things that she'd like to say to start us off. Jessica, why don't you get the ball rolling here?
Right. So, just in case those of you who might not actually know these people, Ed is our lead support. Pixel is our German lead support, and Whirly is basically our support lead assistant to Ed. And that said, so we're going to do a little bit of improv today, and basically I want to focus mostly on your questions. In our last office hours, the last couple, we just never got to all of them, and I'd like to get a chance to get through everybody's questions if possible. And they can be related to support, which goes with the theme of this particular office hour, or they could be about anything you want. But as far as announcements go, there's really only one thing, and that is we're going to be, as most of you know, we have support for other languages. We've got different language groups for support that are official groups affiliated with us. And a couple of them, our French and Hungarian groups, had already taken it upon themselves quite a bit of initiative in translating our website. They created a blog and started basically trying to do translations for their people in their language. And we decided to take that a step further. So the announcement is basically that we are starting a translation initiative. And what that will mean is we're going to have basically mirrors of our website, the English website, and they're going to be translated into various languages, and we'll have the ability for the users to select what language they want to read the website in. And this is going to be a huge job because we're dealing with other languages, and so there's a bit of a language barrier. There needs to be a lot of cooperation between the developers, our webmaster, all of the people on our support team, and the people doing the translations on the site. And beyond that, we recently found out from the Hungarian group that Viewer 2 has little, if not any, translation in the Viewer 2 viewer for Hungarian. And I suspect that may be the same way for other languages. So on top of the website translation project, we'll be working on translation into menu items, preferences, things like that. Even on Phoenix, for example, there's the Linen Lab translation of the Linen Lab features, but we've never spent much time on translating our own Phoenix-specific features. And so we're going to be making a focus and making an effort on that for the Viewer 2 viewer. for Firestorm. So that's that. That's the announcements, and that's about it. So we have a couple of the most common support problems that our support team goes through on a daily basis. And we're just going to talk about a few of those briefly, and I'm sure that might spice up some new questions as well. So one of the most common ones, and some of these we've already talked about in previous office hours, but we're going to talk about it again because not everybody who's here or who's watching has seen the other office hours. And so it's important, I think, to put these together. So one of the most common ones is bake fail. And we touched base on bake fail at our last office hour. So I'm just going to go into it briefly a little bit. So back a few months ago, Linen Lab rolled out server version 1.40. And with that server rollout, this new annoying bug started sprouting out all over the grid. And it doesn't seem to matter what viewer you're on. It affects Phoenix. It affects all the other viewers. It affects the Linen Lab viewer and viewer 2. And there's different symptoms of bake fail. We call it bake fail. That's not an official term. I don't think there is an official term. It's called bake fail because the textures worn on your avatar are called baked textures. They're baked onto your avatar. And so the bug itself basically affects those textures. And some of the symptoms of those will be things like, I can see my textures fine, but everyone else sees me naked. Or I'm naked to myself, but everyone sees me fine. Or parts of me are transparent. My hand is transparent, or my head, or my legs are transparent. There's other things as well, is that where a user will change their outfit, and they will see their outfit changed on their avatar, but the people around them still see them wearing their old outfit. And so what basically happens with bake fail is that when you change your clothing, it sends data to the server saying that you've changed clothing, and then that in turn sends data to the avatars around you to basically inform the other viewers of what you've changed into, and then they start displaying that that clothing. So the bug is that not in all cases does that get updated on everybody's viewer, and so one of the things I want to make clear to everybody is that it's not a Phoenix specific problem. It is a server problem, and it is our number one, by far our number one support issue that we've been dealing with. And Worley just shouted a Jira link there for it, which is great, but our TV audience can't see that. But so I'll say it out. https://jira jira.secondlife.com/browse/ in caps ECC-36, and that will take you to the Linen Lab Jira of that issue. I don't know that Linen Lab is actually working on fixing that right now. I really wish they would. One of the things that we've noticed about this bug is that almost everyone who's affected by it, at the time they're affected by it, either have a very low internet connection speed, or they have a very poor connection to the sim, which is, you can find that under, if you go to help about Second Life or about Phoenix Viewer, and scroll down to the bottom of the top half of that page, and you'll see packet loss. And if you're experiencing bake fail, you'll probably see that you have a lot of packet loss. And so there are various ways of fixing it. One of them is to go to advanced character test, and test male or test female. That doesn't always work. Our support team has two avatars, a female and a male avatar, in a folder that we give out to people having bake fail, and that sometimes helps. And there's various other things that happen or that can help it work. And sometimes there's different extremes of the bug. Sometimes you have to log into a different viewer altogether and do a character test in that viewer, and then log back into the viewer you were having the problem in. And support can help you. If you have bake fail, contact support, and they'll try to get you sorted through with it. So that's bake fail, and if you guys have any questions about bake fail, send the questions to Phelan, and we'll get back to them when we get to the QA part. Teleport failure is really common. usually because avatars are wearing too many scripts. We also talked about this a little bit in the last office hour. So we have this nifty little feature in Phoenix that you can right-click on your avatar and choose s.count, which stands for script count. Most teleport failures are due to too many scripts. And so if you're having teleport failures on a regular basis, do a script count check. If you have more than 200, you have way too many scripts. I've seen people with 1,000 scripts, and usually people don't know that they're wearing all these scripts, and they certainly don't know that it's causing them to have teleport failures. And we'll have people say, well, but I've been teleporting fine, all week. Well, if you're teleporting into a laggy sim, or a sim that's having trouble, or the servers are under a particularly heavy load, like on the weekend, you're more likely to have teleport failures than during a Monday morning or Tuesday morning or something like that. So teleport failures are usually caused by too many scripts, too many prims in some cases if you have a lot of prims, but it's almost always too many scripts. So the bake fail one is a server problem. Teleport failure is usually a user problem, and most of the time it's due to people just not being aware that they have so many scripts worn. You shouldn't have more than 200 scripts. Even 200 is a lot. So the next thing is crashes. Yay, crashes. Crashes are caused by a million different things. And quite often we'll have, I often see people, when we put out an updated viewer, I see a lot of people in the chat saying, is it stable? Did it crash for you? If it crashed for you, then I'm not going to use it because it might crash for me. Well, the reality is most crashes are unique to the people using the viewer. And the crashes depend on various things because there's so many different things that can cause a crash. Textures can cause crashes. Moving your camera around too fast on Phoenix, particularly right now, or at least 325 and 373 can cause crashes. We've gotten that fixed now in the next release coming. There's a billion things that can cause crashes, and I can't get into all of them, but most of the time if you contact support and say, look, this is what I did, and then I crashed, support can then figure out what's causing the crash. It isn't necessarily exactly what you did, but it could be something related to what you did. And most of the time can sort out the crashes and workarounds. And the last of the top 4 most common complaints or support issues that we get is media fail. And what is media fail? So you log into the viewer and you get QuickTime or Qt failed or WebKit failed, or you can't watch video streams. You can't watch your SLTV. Nothing comes up on the SLTV. When you go to search, Control F, and you look to things like groups, like the group tab, there's all tab and showcase tab. If media is failing, chances are those will be black for you. So media fail is I can't take 100% of the blame for media fail. I know that Linden Lab has had a lot of problems with getting media to work for everybody on the Snow Globe codebase, as well as us. And media is a real pain in the butt on Snow Globe. There's also some problems with it in Viewer 2. There's a lot of people I hear that can't seem to get media to work. So it's one of those things where media will work for some people and it won't for others. And sometimes we'll put out an update and we won't have changed anything with media. And suddenly it works for some people that it didn't work before, but we haven't changed anything. So media is a mystery. I'll leave it at that. But I will say that it's looking pretty good like our next release. I think we've cleared up all the media problems. So with fingers crossed, hopefully on our next release, media problems for everybody will be solved. A problem of the past. And that is our top 4 most common, and there's many more of them, but I expect we're going to hear about them from you guys. So send your questions to Phelan, and when we get back from our commercial break, she's going to ask us the tough questions that you guys have submitted.
And we'll be right back after these messages.
Last year, VWE brought to you the biggest event in SL Sports Entertainment. Once a year, an event comes along so big that people remember. Setting the records, making names. It is a night of champions, a night of superstars, and a night of legends. And 1 year later, it's back. December 10th, 2010, 4 p.m. SL time. VWE brings to you Wrestle Series 2, live only on Res.tv.
Close my eyes and I drift back to when I was sure about some things then, but now the world has left me cold. Sometimes I can't feel anything. All I want is something to hold on to. Fear it grips my heart and leaves me cold.
Okay, so let's get right back to Jessica. We're going to be asking a few questions. Some of the audience has obviously been having issues with bake fail and other related issues to what we've been discussing today that are often dealt with manners and support, or often anomalous, weird sort of things, isn't it? I mean, you really can't pin it down. You said it's like one of the big mysteries.
There's a lot of the hardest bugs to trace are bugs that we can't reproduce. Bake fail is not something that you can do at will. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to try to reproduce this bake fail problem. It's something that seems to happen randomly to people and random. And although we have done a lot of testing and trying to cure that whole thing, but we've come to the conclusion that there's nothing we can do to fix it. It is server side. It is up to Linden Lab, and the best we can do is spend 90% of our support's time helping people with a Linden Lab bug.
Okay, well, let's get right into the questions. Sugar Maitland wants to know, Jessica, what about a crash logger? It would make me feel better to know my crashes were reported in a standard way that the developers can understand.
Good question. So crash logs. Every time you crash, a crash log is generated. It is generated on your computer. Currently, we don't have the server space to store crash logs, and we're not storing crash logs for a couple of reasons. One of which is because crash logs actually contain quite a bit of information, a lot of information about your computer name, everything about your computer as far as operating system and hardware and software and so on. So there's some somewhat delicate information in there. And we actually posed this question to Oz Linden from Linden Lab about the possibility that we may start accepting downloads from crash logs. So when you crash it, it sends a download to our server and we store it for a couple days and we can look it up. The bottom line is that, and he said as long as we have it in our privacy policy, what information is being sent in that crash log, then that would be fine. But we're still not sure that we're going to do that, just because, for one, it uses up a lot of space. We do have a use for your crash log, though, with our support or our bug tracker, which we also use for support tickets. If you file a support ticket on that JIRA, and that's at jira.phoenixviewer.com, and you click Create Issue, Support, and you can then attach your crash log to that. And the only people that can see that is our support people, our developers, and you. So the average user can't go in there, they can't see your crash log. A lot of people have no qualms about uploading their crash log even to the public JIRA, and it's a matter of preference and how private you feel or how private you want to be. But as far as sending crash logs on a regular basis from everybody who crashes every day, our server would probably be absolutely chock full of crash logs, and we simply couldn't keep up with those. There's billions of different things that cause the crash problems. So if you're having a repetitive crash, one of the things that support may ask from you, though, is a copy of your crash log. So the way that works is that when you launch your session, it is writing all that information about that session on a regular basis to this text file on your computer. When you crash, it saves that. So that whole session is saved. If you bought something, there'll be a record in the crash log that you bought something, usually in the form of UUIDs. But so usually there's no names there. So if we need to, then we can go in there and take a look and see what caused the crash. Most of the time, the crash log gives us a good idea of what caused it. Some of the time, it's mostly useless. But the trick is that if you crash and then you relaunch the viewer again to, say, contact support, you've just overwritten your crash log with a new session. So if you do crash and you want to submit that to us before you log back in, you need to go in and submit that crash log first, attached to our JIRA, then you can log back in.
Okay, thank you very much. Hope that answers your question. Let's get to Jord Guitar Flashheart. This is a question that many of us may know, but I want to address this because if this is sort of what's occurring with him, we want to get this clarified. He says, why does Phoenix not have Slurl support? It's slightly annoying when I have to tell Firefox what to do with them when I want to go somewhere. Well, indeed, it does have Slurl support, does it not? Because I sort of hop around often using those URLs and getting to where I need to go, especially from externally. I can click a slur on the web and it will bring up my Phoenix. There should be an option for you to choose which executable file you'd like that to use when you execute that URL. Yes, it's true. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about it? Maybe he's having some troubles.
So in a perfect world, we would be able to do that. Unfortunately, we can only control what Phoenix does. We can't control what your computer does. So essentially, if you have no viewers on your computer and you install you install Firestorm or Phoenix, and you click a slurl, it's going to open up in Phoenix. If you install Phoenix and then you install another viewer, like the LL viewer, for example, a slurl is going to open up in the LL viewer. It's basically, from what I understand, it's a registry entry that gets added when a viewer is installed, and basically one viewer overwrites the previous viewer. I wish we could fix that. There are some workarounds for Firefox. There's not much we can do about Internet Explorer, and I don't know about Chrome and some of the other browsers. And even the workaround for Firefox is not foolproof. I wish there was a magic wand we could wave and have them work properly. One of the things that I do, because I also suffer this problem, is instead of left-clicking on the slurl, I'll right-click on it and I'll copy link location. And then I'll go into Second Life or into Phoenix, and I'll paste it into local chat or to an IM, and then I can click it, and it opens up World Map, and it takes me right to where I'm going. So it's a bit of a backwards way of doing things, but it works. Unfortunately, we can't, unless we become really aggressive and somehow overwrite things in your registry. We don't want to do that. It's still going to be a problem, and it's going to be a problem for everybody, pretty much.
There is one
Can,
thing that you can do though, and
ahead.
that is,
Go ahead, Pixel.
yes, a solution is to simply have an official Linden viewer installed, because that registers HTTP Second Life as a protocol, and then it doesn't matter which viewer you're running, it will always open the one that is currently active, whether that is Phoenix or any other viewer. The only thing that you might have then is that what was it? Chrome might ask you what to open it with, and then you can choose.
So is it rare that somebody gets the prompt that will ask them to which program they'd like to use it and then be able to navigate to the executable file to the viewer of their choice? Or is there a way that they can trigger that?
Well, you can do that by registry, but I don't really recommend that unless you know exactly what you're doing.
Okay.
No, we would never suggest users edit their registry ever.
I'm terrified to touch my registry. I've heard horror stories about people fiddling in their registry and
Yeah.
causing near computer Armageddon. So if you have any questions, Jord Guitar, if you'd like to expound on that, please feel free to follow up and let us know how you're doing. Okay, we're going to move along to Voodoo Scientist, who wants to know, is there anything a viewer developer can do to help prevent the issues transparencies have with the Z-buffer?
That is in fact a bug in OpenGL. I suppose he means overlapping transparencies that kind of like make the whole item transparent. And
Okay,
that is
that's what it means.
that's an OpenGL bug.
What's
In other
interesting, and
words,
that's been a bug for years. And
Yeah,
I remember
and-
them coming out and stating that was a bug that was going to be fixed long time ago, Linden Lab, probably in 2004. And they still argue with each other today. So that's something we still have our fingers crossed that one day we will be absolved of.
I mean, it does depend on how you actually program this in OpenGL, because there is software. I can't remember which software it was, Blender or something. Some software had exactly this problem too, but they fixed it. And they said yes, it does depend on how you arrange the layers in OpenGL.
I'm just curious
Internally.
if that's been addressed in Linden Lab Viewer 2. I haven't noticed. It would be nice if it was, because then we wouldn't have to do anything. But chances are probably not. It's certainly something we can look into. We have quite a few texture-related bugs, although that particular one isn't viewer specific. But I suppose if we get time, yeah, that'd be something I'd be interested in looking into.
Okay, we're gonna move on to Pickle Polly. Piggy Polly would like to know. It says, a friend of mine has trouble with the right click script count from the Pi menu and has always told me it's never worked for her. It just says please wait and never comes up with an answer. Any idea why?
Who wants to take that?
Not me, because I can tell you it will probably always work on an object. And of course, the less prims a link set has or an object has, the faster that you will get a result. But I have made the experience that when doing script count on my own avatar, that never works for some reason. And we have no idea why, because it works for just about everybody I know, and just, I'm the only one where it doesn't work for.
So in some cases, it's too many scripts, and it just takes too long for a response. There are some people like Pixel and you, obviously, who's getting a no return on the script count. It's a really good question. I'd be curious to know if somebody else counts your scripts, if they get a return number from it. And it's one of those bugs. It is a bug, and none of the devs can seem to reproduce it, which makes it really hard for us to fix.
I mean, the interesting thing is that that I can count scripts on objects. That's no problem. But as soon as I do it on an avatar, it doesn't work.
Yeah, the thing is here, it's one of those bugs that affects some people but not others, and they're pretty hard to find sometimes. And for myself, most times if I do a script count on an avatar, I get an answer. The more heavily scripted they are, the longer it takes to get the answer. But there are occasions where I don't get a response at all.
And I've seen some cases where an avatar, so you right-click your script count, and while you're waiting for it, an avatar teleports into the sim, and somehow that stalls the script count, and it doesn't give you a return. And the other thing I've noticed too is that if it fails to give you that return, you have to teleport out and back in again to do a recount on the scripts. So we didn't, in fact, none of us on the team actually wrote that code. That was written by Chalice Yeo, and she's a good friend of mine. And certainly I should probably ask her to take a look into that. I'm sure she would know how to fix it. And thank you for bringing it up.
Absolutely. Let's just briefly touch on this. When people experience various bugs or anomalies with their Phoenix Viewer, or something seems to be encroaching on their experience, what are the different avenues that they can take to report these issues within SL and also externally?
Actually, well, we've got we've opened up a lot of doors for people and ways that they can get in touch with us. Compared to Linen Lab support, for example, where you can only really file a support ticket and wait. So we have, in World, if you go to our website, phoenixviewer.com, and click on support link, that's going to give you a list of all of our support people, what operating systems they're on, and what languages they speak. And from there, you can look them up in Second Life and contact them directly. We've also got a list on that page of all of our in-world support groups, which you can click on, and it will pull it up and you can join it right from there. We've also got our Jira, which is a bug reporting software, and that's a Jira.phoenixviewer.com, sorry. And there's also, if you can't get online at all and you don't feel like signing up for Jira, because you do have to have an account. It only takes a minute to create an account on the Jira, and then you can file your bugs. But if you don't feel like filing a bug, you can email support@phoenixviewer.com. You have to have a subject in the email, because this actually posts to our bug Jira, to our support. Basically, it creates a support ticket. And when our support person gets to your ticket, they will make a comment on it or ask you a question, and that will send you an email. And so you can kind of do email correspondence with them. And so in the subject, you want to write down basically a summary of what's going on, and then in the content, the body of the email, you want to give as much information as you possibly can. So what we really need from these things, and also our bug reports, is if you go to Help, About Phoenix Viewer, and in the top half of the window that opens is a whole bunch of text, and it's got all kinds of information about your computer, the sim that you're in, the server that you're sitting on in the sim. Highlight all of that in Control-C and then Control-V to paste it into the email or into the bug report. And that gives us information about your system, and that can be critical for us finding solutions to your problems.
I've noticed that the Phoenix group has a wonderful community that are incredibly mutually supportive of one another. And they'll often try to unofficially troubleshoot each other's issues. So that's also a really positive place to go to and use as a resource.
Absolutely. Our in-world support groups are fantastic, and not just because our support people are there. Our support people can't be in there all the time. Most of the support we do is done either in IMs, or it's done on the Jira, for example, out of World or through email. And so it's just not possible for all the support people or a support person to be in the group 24/7 or able to monitor the group 24/7. And but just posting your question, just join the group, ask your question. Don't ask, can I ask a question? Just ask your question, and you're going to get answers from people, even if they're not official support people. Most of the time, you get good information.
Absolutely. Good, solid responses. Let's just move on to a question briefly by Sweet Cheeks, who is a return visitor. Hello, Sweet Cheeks. She'd like to know, does that media problem that you mentioned include the website plugin problems? Also with the fact that we can't get out of search areas like the All tab.
Yeah, that's part of the media. That's part of the media fail. We really hope that it's fixed. In our last beta that we just put out to the beta team, past QA, everybody had media working except for Linux, but we know what that was about, and that's fixed. But all the Windows users, for the most part, media fails for Windows only. So everybody in the beta, everybody in QA had media working properly, and so that's a really positive result as far as hopefully media is going to work properly for everybody in this next release. But if things are missing from your search, then it's media fail.
All right, Piggy, also I'm sorry, did you want to expound on that?
Yeah, if I could add something to that for a minute.
Please do, please do.
Media fail, and you're on the latest release, 373, try running 225. There's a very good chance that if it doesn't run on 373, it will run on 225, and vice versa.
Yeah, like I said, if you're to try running 225 if you're on 373, it might work better. What we're going to do is run to Piggy Paul again, who would like to know and just expound on his last questions. Would it be possible to have in the advanced menu, advanced character show point at made to stick on, show look at sticks on as an option, but the show point at has to be selected every time?
Oh, as in after relog, so it's not being, the setting is not being saved after you relog?
Right, it appears that every time they want to, right, after relog, they have to reset it.
Yeah, that would be fairly straightforward to do. I don't know that a lot of people actually use the point at. It's not very good information. Yeah, that's obviously going to be a bug then. I wasn't even aware that that was a bug. In fact, I think that's the first time I've heard anybody actually using point at.
We actually also have a question from our external audience, the people viewing by the web. Beth wants to know, when I open a viewer, Phoenix 2.0 or any other viewer I've tried, I get a pop-up box that says my browser does not support the community toolbar. I get the same box when I open search for the first time and any time I open someone's profile. I use an external browser, but have tried using the internal browser and still have the same problem. I've cleared my browser cache and still have this problem. Is there a way to turn this off?
Support?
Yeah, you go. Because, first of all, Phoenix 2.0, I'm not aware that we have such a version. And then that community toolbar, I'm not familiar with that either. In what viewer is that happening?
That's in the browser, not the viewer.
Just to clarify, she said that it happens in Phoenix as well as in Viewer 2 and any other viewer that she's tried.
And when
So
she clicks the profile link and then she gets that message.
She gets it when she logs in. It says her browser does not support the community toolbar. That seems like a very general cross-viewer issue. But I've never heard of the toolbar myself.
It doesn't sound like that's actually something to do with the viewer at all. In fact, I think it might have something to do with a plugin that they've got installed on their internet browser or something.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Like a browser plugin.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll tell Beth to take a look at her plugins and see if she can do some troubleshooting there.
Yeah, and contact if you get a hold of support. I mean, we can't really, provide a lot of help with things that don't even have to do with Second Life, but certainly our support people would look into it and maybe help you. If you're on Firefox, for example, it's fairly simple to find your plugins, which is under Tools, I think, Tools plugins, and you might see something in there about Community Toolbar. Generally, a toolbar is something that's found on an internet browser like Firefox or Internet Explorer, and it sounds like it's being triggered by the viewer, but isn't specifically a viewer thing.
Okay, well, we've got just a few more questions to go through. These are actually all from one person who's been quite busy
Wow.
and is very curious about lots of things. So Trinity Arcadia would like to have you explain about the RC servers, Blue Seal, Le Tigre, whatever, and Magnum, and touch on the rollouts in that that's coming Thanksgiving week.
Right, so those are Linen Lab ventures. Linen Lab is putting out, from what I understand, all of you have experienced these constant, the sim is restarting for maintenance, and then you have to leave, and you generally you'll teleport to some random sim to get away from the sim that's relogging, and you end up in a sim that's also relogging. So it's a bit of a catch-22. Where do you go? It's basically, from what I understand, and I can't speak 100% for Linen Lab. For what I understand is basically they're looking at they'll put out, say, 3 different versions of something, and they'll roll out one version on a bunch of sims, another on another bunch of sims, and another on another bunch of sims, and whichever one passes the test the best ends up being rolled out to the grid. And they're continually doing this and have been for some time now. And I think we're going to be about a week without any rollouts, hopefully. But there is documentation on those servers. I just don't have the link for them right now. If you do a Google and just Google Second Life Magnum or Second Life Le Tigre, you'll see you'll find some links in there to documentation from Linen Lab, which explains what they're doing on those servers, what those server rollouts, server versions have in them, and that kind of a thing. Some of them have display names rolled out in them. So there's a bunch of stuff, and Toy Wiley just posted a good point. wiki.secondlife.com/wiki/beta_server_office_hours, and it's a good idea if you have questions about the servers and things going on in Second Life to take a look at office hours and join them. Visit with the Lindens. There's a lot of Lindens who host office hours on a weekly basis, some several times a week, and they meet with residents and answer your questions, kind of like we're doing here.
Very similar.
Absolutely. She also sends a mention of Whirly. Whirly Fizzle, she says, does an incredible job handling the Phoenix Jira. Ask her what she does specifically. So
On
are you
the
with us,
Jira?
Whirly? Yeah, tell us
Hi,
what you
yeah.
do, dear.
On the Jira, spend most of my time doing the support requests, but also keeping the normal Phoenix bug Jiras tidy, like closing duplicates and linking similar issues together and things. And just keeping on top of it, really, to see what kind of bugs are about.
Whirly is being somewhat modest. Whirly does a lot of, most of the support JIRAs, so the support tickets that I mentioned earlier. Whirly and Miro are our gurus as far as support tickets go. And I think Whirly is a bit obsessive compulsive with them because she spends so much she spends so much time dealing with them and helping people. Chances are, if you file a support ticket, it will be, first of all, handled within a day or 2 at the most. And chances are it will be handled by Whirly or Miro.
between those two, they basically run the support JIRA for us.
Well, that's an incredible and quite a tall task too, really. That's a lot of weight on your little shoulders.
But it does take
So
up
I-
quite a bit of time, yeah.
We certainly owe you a debt of gratitude for all that you do on your end.
Thank you.
No problem. Just to follow up, Jessica, we touched on this a bit last week and the week before, but Trini would also like to have a reminder when the donation bird will appear again.
Oh, right. Well, to be honest, there may not ever be another appearance of the donation bird. You guys have helped us out in a huge way as far as donations go. We now have a new method of income which doesn't rely on your money, and we never really wanted to rely on donations in the first place, but we just didn't have the infrastructure in place yet to be able to cover our costs. However, now we do, and if you go to our website and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll notice that there's 3 little ads down there, and those are basically going to be paying for our server costs every month. And it's a little bit ugly, but it's at the bottom of the page. I tried to tuck it away so nobody really notices them. And that is going to be our source of income, and it should be more than enough. So thank everybody. I thank you all very much for the donations that you've given. Our bird is not rich, but I'll say the bird has enough money in it right now to cover us for the next few months, probably the next 3 months. And so no more donations. Thank you all for helping us. You've gotten us through the toughest part, which is getting started, and you've gotten us through our biggest bills, which is our server setup fees and initialization and all this mumbo jumbo. So our monthly cost now is roughly about $60 a month Canadian. I'm Canadian, so I don't know what that translates to American. And our Google ads that we have down there is more than enough to cover our server costs.
And please make sure you visit the Phoenix website and click on the ads if you want to help. That does help.
That does help, yeah.
Don't ever underestimate that what you can do to support the Phoenix team. Also, we've got about 5 more minutes left. If you have any closing questions, please send them to me. We're going to move right along to Celadel Sparrowhawk. Would like to know, it says, I've noticed that some people have asked about the checkbox, remember users and remember password. If unchecked, the Phoenix Zero will store the data. Will that be fixed anytime soon?
Actually, give me, I'm going to do the awkward silence sin on TV here and look up a document that we have, because one of our devs actually did some work on that for this next release, and I just want to make sure that that's what was done.
Okay.
Where's the document?
That's no problem. We can have a community sing-along.
I think I can, yeah, have a sing-along, and I'll be...
Go for it. Go for it. So you know what, really, I'm going to tickle you for a minute because I just love you. I think you're fabulous.
Thank you.
So you love what you do, don't you?
Oh, very much so, yes.
You're one of those people that we can actually tell has a really good time doing what they do.
I do. I'm totally nervous being up here, though. So.
Oh, don't be nervous at all. This is fun. This is fun. Do you normally get to interface with the community in open forum like this? Or are you
I
normally
get to meet
behind
a
the
lot of
scenes in
users.
Jira?
Usually when fixing bake fails, I get to meet a lot of people.
That's amazing. So, since where are you from? Because you do have a great accent.
Oh, thank you. I'm from England, so I've got a bit of a mishmash accent, but I've lived in Scotland for 11 years, so I probably sound slightly Scottish to some people.
I love that. That's phenomenal. I wish I had an accent. I really sound
I have a
boring.
great accent.
I'm a flat, old, boring American. And I'm sort of like middle world boring. I don't even have like the Southern accent or the New York accent or the, Not even California.
Someone just asked where my which shoes are from. They're from Pixel Fashion. I don't know if I'm allowed to advertise on it. Apparently they're great shoes.
Okay, so I can't seem to find. We have made a change there, and I'm not sure if that particular item was addressed or not. I can't seem to find it in our release notes. So it was probably done or wasn't done, and I can't honestly answer that without possibly being completely wrong.
The JIRA on that, actually, I'll paste the link on that bug. It's PHOE918 on the JIRA. You can search for PHOE-918 on the JIRA and you'll find it.
So there's already a JIRA up and running for that issue, huh?
Oh, we probably have a JIRA for everything. And the trouble is that it is trying to get to everything. We're human, believe it or not. And we've got so much to do, including trying to lead a normal life in real life, separate from Second Life. And so, that's a challenge, just to find time for real life and find time for Second Life and find time for developing Phoenix Viewer. And so we try to get done as much as we can when we can. And we're a bit slow on the release. We were hoping to have it out, well, pretty much last week. We're still a little bit behind and probably still won't be for another 2 weeks. Although every time I say that, I jinx us and end up postponing it for another month or something ridiculous. We are hoping to have it out soon, and I'm not sure about that bug. I'm not sure that we've had that fixed. Maybe we haven't fixed it. It's something we can fix if we can get time to do it.
Well, I think we had an incredibly productive office hours. Unfortunately, we are out of time.
Oh dear.
But I
That was
know,
so
doesn't it
fast.
go so fast? It's here and it's
Yeah.
gone before you know it in the blink of an eye. I'll tell you what, I haven't even had my coffee yet. I worked all night long. Now I'm ready to have my coffee. Flew out of bed to sit down at my chair and be with you wonderful people. And however, unfortunately, since our time is up, we've got to head out of here. But Jessica, do you have any closing comments?
I'd just like to say thank you to our users. I'd like to say thank you to Phelan for hosting this. And thank you to Res.tv, of course. And thank you to our support team. They are our biggest asset. And they work tirelessly. The developers, we generally try to have a real life and do development and things like that. And from someone who's done a little bit of both support and development, I can say that support have, I think, the toughest job. And I'll probably get a few punches in the arm for that from our devs. But support people basically deal with all the angry people. And they deal with them on a regular basis. And I just can't say enough good things about our support team and how valuable they are to our project. They are what makes us stand out.
Absolutely, and ladies and gentlemen, everybody here on our stage today has been critical into making your experience with the Phoenix Viewer a pleasant and convenient one. So I'd like to thank all of the people up here on stage for their tireless work and everything that they've done to benefit and enrich our virtual experiences. So with that, and we are going to say good night or good afternoon, wherever you may be. And on behalf of Res TV, I am Phelan Fairchild. This is Jessica Line, Ed Merriman, Pixel Prophet Lane, and Whirly Fizzle. And we wish you all well.
Thank you, everybody.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.